Club. So welcome everybody who's watching. I mean, you're
This
gonna
is
go through bumps.
exactly what it's like.
This is exactly that's what I'm saying. Exactly what it's like. First of all, my name is Cherie. I'm the founder of the Sistah Girls Book Club, and today is Black Book Club Day, and we got some of the hottest and the newest book clubs out here, and y'all been tearing up these literary streets, okay? And so before I introduce you guys, I want to give you guys your flower, you ladies your flowers, because what I've noticed is that y'all all came in at different times, and y'all literally just paved your own lanes. You came in with your own swag, your own, your own everything. And it was noticeable. And y'all did it in like a positive way. It wasn't, like, oh, I think my book club is just the best. I mean, you should think your book club is the baddest, but y'all didn't put anybody down. We all felt invited whenever y'all do something, y'all share things, y'all create dope events, interviews, all of that. So I just want to say y'all are doing a hell of a job. And so congratulations on all your success and the success that you will have in the future. So without further ado, we got the Hopeful Heartbreakers, the Bourbon Street Bookers, and Ashley will be here soon. And she's representing the Black Romance Book Club. So I will let y'all introduce yourselves. Tell me about yourself, like 3 things that we don't know. And then the book club that you're with, because we got a whole bunch of Black people on here. And everyone's like, I'm from here, I'm from here.
I'm Allegra of Bourbon Street Bookers. One, I don't think I'm as social as I appear. um, this makes me nervous. Um, I don't know. Two other things y'all don't know. I'm pretty open, so I don't know. I don't think I have any secrets.
It didn't have to be a secret, just something that we would automatically know. But I didn't know
No, I
that this
wouldn't
would
automatically know.
just know.
I'm a great cook. I hate cooking.
Oh,
And that's it. I mean, that's it. Y'all go to the next one. I told y'all I'm nervous.
All right, Ron, you're next because I see you right. It's like the Brady Bunch. I see y'all like in the boxes.
Yeah. So I'm Rob with Hopeful Heartbreakers. Let me see. I'm from Dallas, Texas. Born in St. Louis. My people are from Eritrea, which is in Africa. I have one daughter named Sasha Ray, and I don't know. I think that's it for me.
Jazz.
Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine. I'm with Hopeful Heartbreakers. I don't know. I feel like everybody knows the main things about me. I'm a social worker by day. Well, social worker slash educator by day, and I don't know. I don't know. I love to work out. That's how I, decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love trap music.
Lil Wayne, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's on you, Tara.
I'm gonna say, Tara, you right there. I'm like, we all can see who's next. She'll be like,
You have a different order on everybody's screen. I'm Tara. I am actually outside of Dallas. So hi, Rob.
Hey.
I'm from Michigan, born in Philly. Actually, I joined Bourbon Street Bookers last. I'm the audiobook person. They weren't really listening to audiobooks when I started with them, and I have one adult son.
I'm next, right? Okay, I'm Kiana with Hopeful Heartbreaker. Uh, let's see. I'm an only child. I am from New Orleans, but I am the Carmen San Diego in the group. Even though I live in New Orleans, I'm from New Orleans. I mostly live abroad. My husband for work. I am currently in the Bay Area of California. I've been here for like the last 4 months. I am a heavy overthinker and also an impulsive person, and there's no in between. I don't know when I'll be which, but I didn't ask you to shake your head, Rob, but that's it about
Oh,
me.
okay. So,
I am Ayana Talbert. I am from with Bourbon Street Bookers, of course. 3 things about me is everybody knows how much I love Ezra. One of
Lord.
the book characters. That's one of mine. I have a 28-year-old daughter, and I am born and raised from New Orleans.
I can hear the New Orleans in your girl. We got Ashley, we got you, girl. So introduce yourself, your book club, and three things that people would might not know about you.
So, hi everyone, I'm Ashley. I'm the fun founder of the Black Romance Book Club. And let's see, three things. I speak Spanish fluently. Um, what else? What else? I have a doctorate. I'm looking around my office for like stuff.
Congrats.
And my favorite color is pink, which could kind of be obvious because everything I post is in pink. But yes,
All
can't think of
right.
anything else. Yeah, I think that's three things.
Well, I did not know you spoke Spanish fluently, and I definitely
Yes, my
stories.
family, we are from Guatemala. So
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's the three things that people don't know. I speak Spanish. My family's from Guatemala.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is.
What's your
I'm
doctorate in?
yeah.
One
What
more
is your
time.
what's your
What's your
doctorate
doctorate in?
Oh, education, educational leadership. Hmm.
in? Well, I'll go. I'm from Brooklyn. I feel like people might not know that, and they might know it. Some people get it twisted. They're like, "Where you from, New York?" And I'm like, "No, I'm from Brooklyn. It's a difference."
Oh, it's a
Um,
different. Okay.
There
it's a
is a
whole
difference.
different. They'll be like, "Where you from?" When you're in another country, they're like, "You're from America." No, I'm from Brooklyn. It's a difference. Um, what else? I just started liking audiobooks. Like that's a real wow factor because I always felt like, and I think the black narrators made it a difference because I would listen to books and I would really like clock out. Like I started thinking about to-do lists and everything else, and then I started listening to books by black narrators. Totally changed the listening experience. So I'm new to that world, and in my former, I used to interview a lot of hip hop and R&B celebrities, and
Ooh.
it's been fun. My favorite interview probably was Wyclef Jean, and his face is in my head, and I can't even think of his name. And I just giving you the best of me, amazing. What is his name? Oh my god.
Anthony
Um,
Hamilton.
Yes, Anthony Hamilton. What's like he's so sweet. I mean, I did this too, and I'm like, y'all better know this soon. Yeah, Anthony, he's so sweet. And so, yeah, that's about it. So we're gonna deep dive into this. So, how did you guys come together for the groups like Hopeful Heartbreakers and Bourbon Street Bookers? How did you come together to say that we're gonna build a book club? And then what was the next thing that you did to ensure that actually happened? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, we should start a podcast. We should start a book club. We should host an event." And then it's just like a year later, 2 years later. So I'll let Bourbon Street Bookers go first, and then Hopeful Heartbreakers. Y'all can have someone answer, or all three of you guys answer each group. But how did you make sure it actually happened?
Well, Ayana and I know each other from little. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We ended up at the same middle school. We ended up at the same church. And then we actually reconnected in another book club and on Facebook. On Facebook first, and then in another book club. And we started just reading and talking about books and things. Like text messages were just off the chain. And then she called me one day and she was like, I don't have anybody else I want to do this with because nobody reads with me the way that you do. And she set it up, and here we are.
Right. We have this
And then,
wild way of talking
yeah.
about books. I mean, when I say wild, like our text message thread was just out of this world, and we were sending visuals. I would be in the French quarters, like I'm passing through to go to work, and I'm passing like Van Store. That was one of my favorites, right? And I'm cracking up laughing. She's like, "What's so funny? Well, have you ever read Juice by Nico?" And I'm like, I'm passing the dirty ass van store because that's what Juice was told, right? To take them dirty ass vans off. So it's just things like that she can identify. Other people would look at me like I'm crazy when I'm start talking about these book characters like they're real people. And so she and I just had a different vibe. We just wanted to, talk about books and connect with people that we knew, on that level would want to talk about books with us like that.
And of course, Tara came with the audiobooks, and I was the same way as you. I kept telling him, I cannot let anybody read to me. I'm not going to comprehend it.
Thank
I said, my
you.
mind is going to wander. And Tara just kept on with the audiobooks, and then all of a sudden, I'm on Audible now. They're getting my money.
Getting them credits.
Mm-hmm. They'll take it too.
All right, hopeful heartbreakers.
Y'all want to talk?
So for us, it started off with us being in another reading group as well,
Mm-hmm.
and we just bonded over a character.
Mm-hmm.
It just took a character, and we formed a group chat on Facebook, and we would just challenge one another. I read this book in the past. You guys read it. You haven't read it, and there's just dialogue and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other people that was in the chat with us was Johnny Cherie.
Mm-hmm.
She's also an author, and we kind of just wondered, why don't you have one? And she was kind of like our muse, sort of
Mm-hmm.
say. We took her Heartbreak You series, and played on that title and created Hopeful Heartbreakers. And we said, let's just find other like-minded readers who want to read, who love to read, who want to discuss books with us. And our mission was just to get authors to also become members, not only just readers but authors as well, so we can get the authors and the readers to start engaging with one another, because we realize personality is really what sells. They get to know the author behind the pen, or yeah, the person behind the pen. So it's a lot of engagement, not just drop a link when you release a book, or just drop a link and then lead a group. We really try to get them to engage with the readers.
I
So,
want to touch on the second part of the question about how do we keep going.
mm,
It's really hard. Like all the time, it's really really hard. We talk about quitting all the time, but like today was Black Book Club Day. The love that we got was like so overwhelming, and that's like confirmation. This is why you do it. Like so many times we hear from different authors that the literary world needs us, and just to say it sounds cool, it does, but to actually feel it, we feel it today.
yeah,
That's why we do it. So it's hard to be consistent. You have to come up with schedules, you have to come up with content, you have to come up with so much. It's so frustrating at times, but the passion, the drive, the want to talk about books, because we're reading anyways, whether we're doing it in a book club, whether we're doing it by ourselves, we're reading the books anyways. So why not get other people to engage in our books? Why not get the authors who wrote these books to engage with us? So
yeah.
that's the magic that happens to make you keep going and make you say you want to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that in a minute. But go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I think for the Black Romance Book Club, it was just kind of like throw it out there and let's see if anybody wants to just read together. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of get over that insecurity of like, does anyone else out there like to read Black romance like me? And people were like, yeah, I'll come, I'll join. And it just kind of became this really like positive, supportive space that now like I think like, we're friends. We're not just book friends, we're friends. And it is this thing where like these are folks that even when we met in person, it just felt like a continuation of the relationships we've built online because we've been together for like 2 years now. We're a pandemic book club, and everyone is just really special. So it's grown into a space where like it transformed, where we had a lot of people, then a little bit of people, and then we have this consistent hardcore group that they're saying no new friends kind of people, but we're all such a like a cool tight knit squad of women who read Black romance for real. But yeah, that's kind of how we just kind of came together. We're consistent. We meet every 2 weeks, about every 2 weeks, and we read these books, and we like to celebrate and we're very true to it has to be Black romance, every single book. Um, we do not deviate from that. So it's whatever book you want, it's just got to be Black and it's got to be romance. So yeah, that's how we
All
work out.
right. So I'm gonna give
Mhm.
y'all a spill on us right quick. It's myself. It's not just me. I always tell people that's me, Alexis, Lisa Marie, and then we have Saida. We started our book club. It was me and Saida. We went to college together, and I started reading and I started posting like on Instagram. This was before TikTok and all of that. And I used to post a book, and I used to post like in the comments how I liked it and stuff like that. And people would go back in the comments, and I'm like, we need to like have a more longer conversation because I wasn't thinking that nobody was really paying attention because I was running another site and I was like, this site needs to have some like educational portion. We need some books by Black people because I read all the time, and that's when I wanted to infuse that because it was largely entertainment site for college kids because I was fresh out of college. It was my site, and then I started finding these Black authors because I've always been a reader. And I was just like, well, dang, we got the internet now. We can like figure it out. So I remember I literally Googled, how do you start a book club and have a virtual discussion? And
Mhm.
it was so bad. It was just that remedial. It was like, because I had never, when I thought about book clubs, to be very frank, it seemed very like grandma, my mama, like very, and I was like in my 20s, I'm like, we don't have like book clubs. When you think about it, I've always been part of book club. When I was in high school reading like all them grown books, even in junior high school, you always had that friend or a group of girls that we took one book and passed it around, everybody read it. And we was talking about it. So we were always part of a book club, but we never like said it. And so Saida was first, and I was like, Saida, like you read a lot of books too. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And I told her the idea. And like our first actual book discussion was with Love Velvet. I had read the series and I kept talking. I was like Oprah, like the ghetto Oprah with this book series. I'm like, yo, y'all gotta read this book. And I thought she was a man. That's like the age old story. I thought she was a man because I couldn't see her face. And Love Velvet just sound like some D'Angelo type, you know what I mean? Some real like, yeah, my name is Love Velvet. Like it sounded like a dude thing. And then when I reached out, she was a woman. I was like, oh, what? Like, you know what I mean? Because I was like, you wrote the male characters pretty, just so good. And then she was our first book chat. We didn't have it on Facebook. We had it on like some other site. And then I got on Facebook and we started working out the kinks. Then Lisa came and Lisa, she blew it out the park. Lisa and Les, because they both read, they are readers and they can give like the dopest book review. And that's why Lisa finds all like she does the book selections because I'll have y'all reading the same author for 5 years just because I want to do the whole catalog. Um, it will be like this person, this person. That's why I said I need to not do this. But to your point, Kiana, I wanted to like touch on that because I'm like, when you said sometimes you feel like giving up, girl, in 2021, and at the top of this year, I was like, all right, y'all, time to pack it up because we were all going through our own personal issues. I either had health issues. My mom got sick and went in the hospital. It was just so many things, and it was just like, how do we keep being creative? How do we keep, doing what we want to do and like having that passion? We have a passion to read, but I don't always have the passion to come in Facebook group and say, hey guys, I have a question, or post on Instagram, or doing I don't always have the passion for that part. And then what happened was one thing happened when we created Black Book Clubs Day. We wanted to give you guys your flowers. We wanted to say like there's so many Black book clubs. We don't have a day, just like when we created Black Indie Authors Day. It was the same thing. It's like why don't we have a day where we can all come together to celebrate each other? And so this time when we had Black Book Clubs Day, I was like, oh, y'all showed up and we were getting tagged and I was like, wow, they really love us. It was that moment because I always tell people it's like we're community servants. It's like you are really running a community-based organization without it like being stated that way. And we're
Yeah.
doing it for love.
Nonprofit.
Yeah, it's like a non-profit. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like we are really out here doing it for the love because we love reading, because we love Black authors. And then we have those authors that'll come to us and be like, oh my God, like you help us get out there, our name out there. Or even like how I felt of the authors is from y'all groups or, just seeing them post it. So I want to encourage you guys because it is hard. And like y'all are not the only ones that be like, yeah, girl, let's just quietly walk away. There's a lot of book clubs out there now. But you guys remind us too, like I said, creating other book clubs and working together and us seeing you like grow. It's like, well, if they're pushing, we got to keep going. So sometimes it's not even about having that energy; it's about seeing other people show up. And so my next question with that is that you go from starting a book club to trying to reach out to all these authors. And then at one point, all the authors start reaching out to you. It becomes the author to book club ratio it is different. It's a whole bunch of authors. It is not a lot of book clubs. How have you been able to handle it? Like handle like what books you select, handle what books you review, and coming up with content and making it fresh in a way that people are seeing, but also making sure that people don't feel like, oh, we're being we're showing favoritism.
Who you want to go first?
Anybody who
The,
has an answer.
the favoritism part, I feel, is hard.
Okay.
Because we do have our favorites, but we also try to keep it fair. And that's an actual discussion that Ayana and I had in the beginning. I was like, we have to make sure we're keeping it even, keeping it fair. We can't, constantly highlight the same people. And it ended up working out pretty well. I'd like to say that it worked itself out because, like you say, the authors then start contacting you. And I'm a when you say about how do we decide what we're gonna read, it's usually one of the three of us say, y'all, I started reading this. It's rolling. Check it out. And that's how we end up, doing things based off of one of us reading something and just falling completely in love with it and just passing it on.
So what we kind of do is we have different facets to our book club. We also have a book blog. So if we don't catch you for the newsletter, we may catch you for the spotlight. If we don't catch you for the spotlight, we may catch you for the book discussion. If we don't catch you for the book discussion, you may be added to one of our book lists. So it's kind of, I don't want to say it's really hard, but it is sometimes kind of hard with balancing on keeping it fair and giving exposure to all of the authors. Like you said, it's so many authors out there. It's authors we probably never even heard of. It's authors in our group. It's authors not in our group. We have our favorites. It's really hard, but we do try to at some point in time on something that we have going on, we'll try to say, okay, we're gonna use this author, or we haven't used this author, or even with the authors that show us love and support on the social media apps, like, okay, this author has shared like everything that we've done, we got to figure out a way to reciprocate them showing us love. So that's kind of, for the most part, how we keep it balanced.
I think that our book club members are also really good at, recommending what they want to discuss or what they want to see, because there are times where, well, Kiana and Rahel are a lot more like abreast of what's going on than I am. But like there are times where I'm like, I don't know who to read. I don't know what we should do. And then somebody will just ask in the group, what do y'all want to talk about? And we'll just get, feedback. And so I think that our group members help us with that as well. Um, and I think it's important to point out too that when we're making those decisions, and I'm pretty sure everybody on this call can relate, like it's important to be true to yourself and your group, because we've tried before to, pick, certain authors or certain books, and our participation will reflect whether or not they were feeling it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to consider, your our group audience, because the truth of the matter is, everybody might not be feeling everybody, and so we take that into consideration as well when we're choosing.
I feel you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I think for us, I would say we're very reader centered. So we don't really do it for we don't really do it for the authors per se. It's like what do we want to read? So like we've read Christina like too many times to count because we want to read Christina C. Jones. So it's definitely focused on like who do we like, who do we want to read, what's coming out. I also think one thing that we do is that we want to try new things. So I think one of the things that we've had over time, because we've built this relationship, is that we trust each other to try something new. So like recently, I think Courtney has recommended, I want to say the last maybe two books we've read. She goes by Well Read Ruby on IG. But she recommended Tempted by Danger by India Carter. And she was like, y'all, I kind of read this, and I don't know, y'all might like it. And we're just like, girl, just trust yourself. Like we trust what you like. And so sometimes we have those moments where a person will just like really be like, I think we should read this. And we trust each other that we are picking good things. And if we don't like what we've read, we do not put it on the person who selected it because they are not the author of the book. So, it's like, look, Courtney did not write this book, y'all, right? So we cannot put it on Courtney. We've all picked a book that's been a dud at one point or another. So I think now we collectively agree, or someone who's really passionate about a particular book, and we just trust each other to read it and talk about it after. So yeah, always good time.
I agree. And I think that's the same thing that we do with the Sister Girls book club, because we always say it's only how many months in a year. All right. The summertime, we don't have book selections because we want people to kind of like relax, and we like to try different things. Like last summer, we tried to do like the audio series called Campfire Tales, where we asked authors to like read a short story and like they're reading it themselves. So they're narrating. It's like that's the time we get to experiment. But when picking books, it's the same way. To piggyback off of what you said, Ashley, I trust Lisa completely. Like she will say, y'all, we got a new author. We need to get behind her. The book is dope. Read the book, Cherie. And I'd be like, I'm in the middle of rereading something. And she'd be like, no, you're going to like this book. If you don't like this book, she'll say something. And then I'll read it and I'll be like, yo, this. I'm like, who is it? Who is it by? We just had an author, Unique, her name. Another one, Zahara. We have not had these authors before. And she was just like, no, these. And she reads books like, her and Lex read books like they drinking water. I read books like I'm drinking a smoothie. It's two different experiences. It's two very different ways. But she'll be like, "Oh, I'll be like, I just read this book. I'm trying to put them on," and they'd be like, "Yeah, we finished that maybe like last month." And I'm like, "All right, I was trying to be proactive," but like you said, Kiana, that's another thing that we've done when we started the book club. Because I have an editorial background, I freelance writing for sites. I was like, we got to figure out a way because it is way too many authors. We got to start infusing listicle. We have to start infusing interviews, and when we have to start doing podcasts, and we got to figure out how, if you're not an author and you want to write, because that was another thing. I started noticing these people like, I want to write, but I don't know, like I'm scared. So we're like, okay, let's do. I was watching American Idol, and I was like, well, what if we had a way we could do short stories, but then they vote, but you can vote on an anonymous story. That way, the story, the author to the story doesn't feel overwhelmed because their name is not everywhere, and also they could feel like, oh, I could test the waters. We did that. We started that a few years ago, and we brought it back. Arthur K.L. Hall, K.H. Hall, she is actually doing Behind the Pen. She submitted a short story, and she turned that short story into a book. And she was not going to turn it into a book,
That's
but
something
because
new,
readers
series.
voted, yeah, it's because readers voted on it, she turned it into a book and stuff like that. I could cry. I'd be like, y'all, it's working. Like, you start feeling like, okay, you're actually moving the needle forward. So it's all about being creative. And I'm talking about anybody out there who wants to like start a book club. It's about being creative, and it's also about being proactive um, as well, that y'all all have been doing dope. So next question, because y'all are groups. So dealing with groups require working together and communication. How are y'all able to balance y'all personal lives while also running book clubs?
There
And
are
we'll
no off days.
whoever want to speak first.
Go ahead, Rob.
So there are no off days, right? Kiana will sit up here and say, "Oh, the weekends are mine and I'm off." Y'all know you're not off. We're working 7 days a week. I will hop on the phone and call them so quick. They hate me because I'll pick up that phone and call them like, "No, listen, we got to talk it through." So there's no off days. There's no such thing. Now we do work, right? We've got lives. I've got a kid. Marriages, relationships, all that. So we are somewhat considerate, but there are no off days with hopeful heartbreakers.
The issue with Hopeful Heartbreakers is that not only were we crazy enough to start a group, but we were crazier and decided to do literary services and a nonprofit. So,
Book blog and a book blog.
so when you talk about a life, this hopeful heartbreakers is the life. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Everything else, it seems like it's secondary.
I
Yeah.
think that your team is important when doing anything, book club, whatever. So like they say, we do have personal lives. Technically there are no days off, even though I tell them I'm off every weekend. But while my husband's sleeping, he works night shift, I'm at my laptop putting stuff together for Hopeful Heartbreakers. I only get maybe a few hours off. So if I can't do it, if I'm busy, if I have whatever going on, Jazz and Ryle catch wherever I fall. If Jazz is busy with work, her personal life, me and Rod catch where she falls. And I think that is was very, very important with what we have going on because we have a lot going on. So we balance each other out. If like teamwork make the dream work, that's the only thing that really keeps us going.
I agree with that 100% because we mesh so well together. And we start at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm an early riser and I go to sleep early too. I'll wake up the next morning and I'm reading messages from the two of them. So I think that is something that's nonstop. And like Kiana said, it really depends on your team. Everything depends on your team. You have to have a solid group of people with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Allegra and I had always talked about how, and we always are complimenting each other how we thrive with one another. One person may do this, the other person does that, and the balance comes in. It can be very challenging, especially when in your relationship you got so much going on. But when COVID happened, Allegra and I both got COVID and got sick at the exact same time, and Tara jumped in with no questions asked. She just took over, kept the flow going. And the book club itself, to me, we don't necessarily run it, we maintain it in
Mm-hmm.
a sense where we give everyone a safe place to actually come and enjoy themselves. We have very active members that keep us in stitches, but they're so authentic. And again, everybody understands that our number one rule is respect. We can disagree, but we're going to do it respectfully. So it's just about maintaining a space where we're supporting the authors, but also making it a place where the readers can come. um, we entertain the idea of branching out beyond that, but again, our lives are so busy. In addition to that, it kind of took away from our passion of wanting to read. And if you've ever done or what it's like to do any type of work associated, at some point it has you kind of drained and feeling
Mm-hmm.
like, mm, I don't like to be forced to
Mm-hmm.
pick up and read and have a deadline or what have you, because then it's not natural, it's not authentic, and I certainly don't feel it, and I don't want to give anybody less than my best. And
Mm-hmm.
so when if a book really hits me, that's when I'm going into the creation of content and things like that, because it's like not everything requires that. Some things just requires us to create a smaller group where we go hard and we act food in there, and just make sure we're having fun. We had one of our newest members tweeted a comment, a message saying she had not been on social media in years, and Facebook in
Mm-hmm.
years.
Yeah, I saw that.
That again, that was a reward within itself that makes it worth it. It makes it worth it to jump up and send out those messages. Being honored today, with you choosing us to be a part of this, because we actually started after Heartbreakers. We started in November 2020, and so we get it. We get that it's a lot of work, but we wanted to make sure we continue to just make sure it was natural and authentic and organic, where everybody was just coming together. We didn't create any type of incentives to have people to come over. Everybody sent for somebody else. And so the group just grew from there. And I actually love it. I love it. And it's where I love to read my books at. Everything I read, I'm talking about. I remember you actually posted in your group asking, what type of reader are you? Are you that reader that has this? And I'm responding, yep, that's me. That's me. And every book group, leaving a comment here, leaving a comment there. I just like to have fun. I like to laugh. I don't take much of anything serious, to be quite honest with you. So
That's me.
other than
And I think
parenthood.
and I think one of the things that we faced, like maybe a few, just being very transparent, we got, and I'm not trying to be like boastful, we got to a point where we were big, but we were big but a small team. So then it was just like there's so many things going on. You got the editorial, you have the podcast, you're doing interviews, you're doing social media, you're doing Behind the Pen, which is our Black indie author sign in New York City. That's a shameless plug. But we have these things going. It's like, how can we keep up with it? It's not a lot. So that's when it was just like, okay, do what you know how to do. Delegate the tasks. What talents do people have naturally within the community outside of us? Like when we started study halls, a co-working virtual space, we reached out to Asia Monique. She's an author. She runs that. I don't run it. Lisa don't run it. It's like, we do it. We have
Love her.
ambassadors. Our ambassadors for our group is Jenna. She's their ambassadors. They go hard for us and they share. So we started saying, like, let's bring people in that's already a part of the community that we see. Like Sean, she always posts new release. Like she'll post it. Now Jennifer does it too. So it's like we had to really start to like sit with it and be like, let people who want to help you help you. They love these Black authors just as much as we do. They love reading just as much as we do. But it came to a point where it's just like, girl, it's no way. You know, and now we have our editorial team is totally completely separated from our, like, me, Lisa, Lex, and Saida. We have a team for just of writers, and that's been growing well. But the thing is, you still have to delegate. You still have to make sure, you still have to check and edit and all that other stuff. But like I said, it's all about, we understood the assignment of bringing the community in, the people that are already there. These are like teachers, lawyers. I mean, these women are like, we like, well, where y'all been at your whole lives? Like, come on, girl. They have that knack, and just bringing people together. So for us, that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure we didn't have to go out and find people. We didn't put out a call. The call comes from within our space. And we always say, like, when we created like the welcomes, it's like this group is like girlfriends meets living single meets insecure. Relax, relate, release, and like you said, respect each other's opinions. Because I've been a part of groups where I'm just like, when y'all see each other, y'all gonna fight, huh? It's just gonna come. Y'all just gotta fight now. And I'm like, how did it come to that point? And that's what I love about all of your groups, is that I feel like y'all have healthy discussions where y'all respect each other as women, as human beings. And so I think how people act accordingly in the community, it is a reflection of the leadership. I always say that. And so that's just my thing with that. I'm still giving out those flowers. So when it comes to creating new content and staying like above the algorithm, this little social media stuff now, how do y'all fight that? Because we've been fighting for our lives out here, everybody. So when you're thinking about, okay, how can I get them to engage this month? Or when you have slow months where you feel like my group isn't active, or the post that I thought was going to go triple platinum, it went paper plate, it went like we got it on bootleg. How do you keep yourself going and getting those creative juices flowing, and not being afraid to try new things? I'll start with Ashley, because y'all was just like,
I was looking at her like, let's let Ashley go.
I feel like the Black Women's Book Club, like, again, it's very reader centered. So if you like the post, nice. If you didn't like it, that's fine too. You know what I mean? It's like, I think our goal is to like create a community where we come together and talk about the book and share our favorite parts about it. And if people want to come, like, you can come correct, but come with us and join, and we can talk, and you can be a part of this like similar community of like women who read Black romance. And so when it comes to content, it really comes to this like, what is something about Black romance that we as a book club could do together? Like, what's something that we feel like we could put on that's not there yet? And so that one of the things was like last year how we did like the Black Romance Book Club Awards, right? So we were like, we've been reading together this whole year, all these books. Wouldn't it be nice to just like give like those flowers to the authors of like the book that we love the most, or the heroine that we love the best, or the one who was the most terrible trash toxic man of all the books. Like we wanted to be able to like recognize that, and so we did that, and we did it on Instagram, and it was fun, and it was that. So I feel like when it comes to the content part, fortunately now one of our members, MJ, shout out to MJ, Batman Reesmut, she's kind of taken over that part, and I'm like, thank you, sis, because I really am tired of that. And just really posting in our stories and sharing in our feeds and stuff like that. But again, it's more of a like, if you would like to join a community, if you are someone out there who like is looking for a space, like where you're gonna hop on the Zoom on Sundays, and we're going to talk for a long time about these characters, these authors, their favorites, what we're going to read next. Like, come through, because this is a safe space for you to be able to do that. So we do some content for sure because we want people to know about books, Black romance books, but I don't foresee it as being as too much of a priority as much as like the community part is.
With us, it's basically we provide a newsletter. We do a chat pretty much every month, but not always. We do reviews and we also provide book recommendations. Other than that, we kind of sit back and let the readers take over, basically. We have certain posters that when they're reading a book, they are very animated. They will post about it and post about it. Everybody joins in. A lot of people will read that same book. Otherwise, there's another poster that will post a different book, and the same thing happens. As far as Allegra and Ayana and myself, I'm the introvert. Ayana's the social butterfly, and Allegra is like the nurturer. So we're not always reading the same books. A lot of times I'm reading something totally different from them, but every now and then we mesh up and read the same thing. Certain authors we all read, but that variety when it comes to our space is what I consider our content. Other than that, it's the readers that pretty much drive the ship.
I'll go next. So when we first started, we were really heavy. Well, we started during the pandemic, but we were really heavy on games. I we just felt like that was like the most engaging thing to do with which house would you choose, bingo. We had all different kind of games going on, but now um, our group kind of like runs itself. We post. Don't get me wrong, we post, but the group. Well, if we don't feel like it, the group has our back. But with the algorithm, I'm always like in Facebook jail, so I struggle with that. But uh, yeah, as many people don't see my post in the group because I guess like I'm an ex-con, but I'll always like either pin my post to the top of the group so they'll see it, or I'll tag the other two. So since they're not ex-cons, the group can still see it.
I think too, it goes back to I can't remember who said it, but somebody said something about having what you do naturally um, be a reflection of how you run the group. And so Kiana and Rahel are a lot more outgoing than I am. And so my contribution to the group a lot of times is the nonprofit or, literary services. Or I'll pop in and, and tell everybody how much Kiana and Rahel are getting on my nerves. That's just our relationship. But like she said, a lot of the times the group will come and represent for us. But as far as we don't really pay attention to like the algorithms and stuff. We just do what we feel like doing at this point.
In jail, I do.
And
Anyone
then
else?
for content, we also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say anyone else before I jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
and I
ahead.
was just gonna say I was gonna add to the content. We just kind of also use just everyday life, like football season just started, and Kiana just made a list recommendation about sports, books, sports in books. So we really just use everyday life too.
Yeah. For us in the beginning, it was hard because we didn't see a lot of black book clubs putting out content outside of like having book discussions. And I'm not saying that they didn't exist. So before anybody come at me in the comments, that's how we started creating listicles and our own memes. Like when we started sharing memes, we were like, all these memes, not trying to be funny, they're white. They were so white, and we didn't have any. We're we're hip hop and R&B. Like I'm from Brooklyn. How do we not have anything that reflects us? And so I remember I was sitting there and I was like, Lisa, everything is very white centered. Centered is a white woman in a rocking chair, is a white woman by a bookshelf. Even when it come down to finding stock images of like black women reading, that is hard. So I was sitting there one day and I was like, I'm funny. I'm very funny. I gave myself a lot of props, and I was like, let me, because I work in social, like my one of my jobs is social media management, so I'm well aware of how this can work. And I remember I said, she was like, yeah, just create it on your. I'm gonna create our own memes, like we're gonna do our own memes and our own stuff. And I remember we did the Cardi B meme, and I didn't put our tag or nothing on it. I was like, let's see how far it gets, because if nobody likes it, then they can't really blame us. It'll just be out there. And so many people shared it. And I was like, yo, we got it. Just be more of yourself. You don't have to pull back, because I feel like in the beginning, when we came in, we were in our 20s. It felt very almost classist. It was like, well, if you read, you have to read like this, or you have to be at a desk, or you have to. It wasn't just kind of like, yeah, I read and I listen to trap music. I read and I also, it had like a specific way it was marketed online. And I'm like, okay, but none of that. I mean, yeah, I went to college, I did this, but I also listen to Jay-Z. Like, where is it? Where's the balance? And it was like, because it wasn't there, we had to create a balance for ourselves. Otherwise, we didn't fit in. It was like we did not fit in with them. Like, we don't fit in with this. And I think for us, having the community respond, that was like a big game changer. It was like, oh, it's a wrap now. We don't need nobody to say yes or no. We know that we're representing women, black women, in a way that they're comfortable with, in a way that mirrors them in everyday life. Like you said, creating content that mirrors what you're going through, and that's how we do it. And then sometimes I get scared because I'm like, we might be going a little bit too overboard, but I'll let people just like run with it. And I think one thing about being a reader and also being part of a community, we listen to them and we try to respond as best as we can. If they say we need books with plus size women, a listicle is coming to you in 5, 4, 3. It's about listening and
Yeah.
understanding.
Yes.
Coming from, we need books on mental health. All right, got you for that. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
like, we're listening to, and we're trying to come up with solutions to things that you have issues with. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's also like a dope thing, is a two-way street, because they'll scream loud and be like, girl, and we'll be like, I hear you. You know what I mean? And then we'll try to create something for that. And I think that that's the beauty about having a book club, and the beauty about having a community that talks and talks back, and you can listen. So you almost we at the time. Y'all, if y'all gotta go, let me know. What has been some highlights? Like we talk about like girl was hard work, girl almost quit. But what has been some highlights after starting the book club? Because it is so many, but I want to hear it. I want to hear the good stuff.
I just love to laugh. And when I'm a rereader. Ayana recently has me on this since the new year, not rereading books, but reading new to me authors. So when I see one of my favorite posters in our group is Alicia. Alicia comes and she finds like the perfect meme to attach to a scene in a book, and she'll just have me dying. Just sitting at the desk and coworkers looking around like, what the hell is wrong with her? And of course, I can't tell them what's wrong with me at work, but I think that that's the highlight for me, just to see somebody really enjoying themselves and know that they're kind of nerdy like I am too. Reading and actually enjoying this, and then to just share it with everybody. That I think that that's my favorite part.
For me, it's like what you mentioned about how um, you read like drinking a smoothie. That's me. That is truly me. I mean, I'm a slow reader. And Allegra, oh my God, it just listen. You can blink and she's done. And I'm always trying to catch up or trying to get her to give me spoilers, and she does not give me spoilers, and that breaks my heart, right? So that's one of the reasons why we really read different things too, because I she stresses me when she doesn't share. So with that being said, we have our individuality where and uniqueness. In our newsletter, we each have a part. Tara has the audio that she talks about. Allegra has Lanyap with Allegra. So if you read anything in Allegra, you talk to Allegra. She is just Allegra. And then I, like they said, the social butterfly. So I have an additional segment in addition to that part of the newsletter in our YouTube station. It's called Yapping with Yana. And so from time to time, I have I have these unique little segments and authors. What I've learned is that not every author wants to be on live. Some are okay with the one-on-one, and so we'll do a recorded conversation, and I'll just post it on that, or post it, use that segment to get them where they need to be, or and allow them to share it. So that works for us. Just doing, like I said, what comes to us, in that natural setting where we just feel like we can be us without it becoming a job and a task and a stress, because it really is my happy place. My books are truly my happy place. We were given the opportunity to finally meet, many of the readers, and the support that we got was great when we, went to support another book group. So the community continues to grow, and that for me is enough. Knowing that I've had an author to say to me, "Hey, because you're bringing this energy, I have all these new readers that's coming, back into my catalog." I just heard CCJ mention how she's basically given her books like a facelift, right? And changed the covers on it. So she has new readers coming in. And it just always helps to engage them with fresh eyes and different perspectives, because you're getting younger readers and you just want it to continue to be what it is, And so for me, that's my happy space. I love to laugh too. That is just my biggest thing. Having laughter, having discussions, and having people. I like to tussle too. So occasionally we'll have some readers that come in and want to tussle because they're claiming certain characters, and that too makes it fun for me.
For me, it's the bonds. Me, Ra, and Jazz, we bonded over books, but we are family now. I'll call Ra on the phone. Her daughter's in the background. Hey, Sasha. We video chat with Jazz, her cousin in the background. Like, hey, cousin, we're family, and not even just us. Our group members, they already know our personalities. They know what to expect from us. The authors, we have met some legit real authors that they support us outside of this book stuff. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'll use Johnny and Ty Marshall as like our main supporters. I don't care if we say we want to paint book covers on beans, they gonna say where we send the money at. And like, that's dope to have authors that back you no matter what you have going on, no matter what you are doing, whether it's book club activities, they'll send us books, they'll donate money. If we say, hey, y'all, we raising money for this, we've done school supply drives, and our group and the authors that's in there, like hey, we love y'all, we love what y'all doing. We want to support y'all. And that is was like the most important, the most heartwarming thing ever.
It's for me, it's that, and it's also the highlight for me is just we created a space for readers, but also for authors. And then for authors to come back and say, yo, I've sold out all my books. I don't have anything. I've got to go reprint and re-up because of you guys and because of the members in your club. That that for me is like, man, we put something out there for the authors and people are really reading their books. I love that because that was the whole purpose of creating a book club is to get people to read and for them to sell out their catalogs. I love it.
Love to see it.
For me, it's everything. I mean, it's the book club, but it's beyond. You know what I mean? And we have been blessed to be able to create a space for not only adult readers, but now, I mean, we're donating books to kids in the community, and so it's turned into something totally different. And to me, to have our book club members believe in that mission and that dream, like, I mean, come on, y'all know you have blood who don't necessarily believe in your dream and your mission. And to have people in your book club who have never met you in person to, donate their hard-earned money, donate, oh, I wrote a children's book, what's the address? That is so powerful. And it just goes to show that when you band together, you could do anything.
Yeah, I got to echo off for everything that you ladies have already said. I think it's a few things, but what's standing out to me is like the growth that I've seen in these women. I've been rocking with Lisa, Saida, Lex for a minute, and then to have editorial team when they come in, they're like, I want to write, but I don't know how to write, and I'm just like, everybody knows how to write, but they're like, I have never tried this avenue of writing before, but I'm interested in like I want to push this mission forward with you, and I'm like, I could teach you how to do that. You just gotta. I always tell people I'd rather have one person who's willing to learn than 20 people who think they know it all. Because you can see that passion. That's what I always say. Like, I love that people in the community reach out. Saida, like, she's the business lady. If it's up to me, I would try to get Beyonce to come to behind the pen. Like, I be throwing money like it's going out of style. I be thinking I'm like a rapper. Like, let's spend $1,000 on. She's like, no. We cannot
I would
do
love
that.
if Beyonce was there though. I would
Yeah,
love that.
we cannot do this. You got to take this on down. And it's like and it helps me because not only is she business minded, she'll bring people and she's like, okay, I know this woman, she's a pastor, she's doing it, she wrote a book, can we have, and we did that like one summer, and it was just in a way we were in 2020, people needed that mental release and healing, and like she knows, I read memoirs and I read fiction too, so I'm always like, I read the Viola Davis book, they like, girl, we just read this other book. So, and I think also just the Lex is very like quiet, shy. She'll pray down the whole house, but she'll be like, do not put me on this. Don't put me on camera and stuff like that. But just to see her come out of her shower and have the Lex list, people be like, when is the Lex list dropping? I'm like, I'm not like Alexis.
I be looking for her list too.
I'm not Alexis. I don't know when it's going to drop. Like, give that to her. Give that to her. And even Lisa, like picking out books for us and like us all trusting each other. And when I promise you, I have like the worst anxiety when it comes to behind the pen. And this morning, tickets went on sale. I'm telling y'all a real life story. And I could not sleep. And I was just like, are they going to want to come to behind the pen since we've been going a while? And I was nervous. I was going through it. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to get to the good part. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. The tickets are technically live, but we haven't announced that they're live. So I'm like, all right, let's make sure that, no kinks, no hiccups, no this, even though it's going to happen. So I'm sitting up there. I'm like, all right. And I'm looking, I'm like, why is this program telling me that people are buying tickets? We have not released a flyer. There's no flyer. When you get to the site, the ticket site is technically live if you just look being nosy, but the picture is a landing page. You don't know what authors are going to be at behind the pen. So I'm like, okay, 5 tickets. So I'm like, okay, now we have a problem. It's a problem in the system. So when tickets are technically marketed as live, I don't know if people are purchasing these. So I'm looking. And then I said, let me check my email, because I check my email the way I check the refrigerator all the time. So I'm looking at my email and I'm like, no, these are real people who have purchased tickets already. We have people purchasing tickets at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock. There's no flyer with the authors there. Like there's no, I'm like, how do y'all believe in this that much? You know what I mean? And that's when I was just like, oh, it's going to be a great day. No matter what happens, it'll be a great day because they trust that we're not trying to get over. They trust that we're everything that we want to do and we want to say that we're doing, we're about it. But it's like, do they honestly believe in us? And it's like, yes, they believe in you because they understand that you're trying to do something great. And the last thing I'll say is that when I was coming up, being around my mother and my aunties, I never seen them have like a space where they all gathered that wasn't about like church or just them hanging out with each other. There was no like, oh, I'm going to my book club, or I'm going to this and that and the third. So I'm like, now to me it feels different because it's like black women have something that's just for themselves. Like, don't nobody else gotta, I this is my group, this is what we got going on, is us, and it's black women based. Like, you know what I mean? It's black women art center. Yeah, we have black male authors and stuff like that, but 99.99% of the readers are black women. And we talk about these books because they have so many real life topics. We start talking about our own lives, group chats about different things, and then you're like, wow, you feel seen, you feel heard, and then you also have a community of women. And then when we meet each other at, these book events, it's like, girl, I ain't never meet you in person, but when I meet these people, it feels like familiar. It doesn't feel like I'm a stranger. I'll be running up to people giving them hugs. They're like giving me hugs too, and I'm like, technically we're strangers. Like, we don't technically know each other. So I think it's like it's home. Like, it feels very home and it feels very safe. So that has been like the best highlight ever, just meeting everybody and meeting y'all, because like I said, it's that how you view a community is how it grows and the leadership behind it. So that matters. And y'all been doing, like I said, a dope job. Do y'all have any questions? And before we take questions, if the people have any, do y'all have any questions for each other, for me, anybody?
No, but I do want to say we got our behind the pin tickets this morning. I was screaming and hollering at them like, hurry up before they sell out.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for getting behind the pin ticket. Exactly this morning. All right. Does anybody, before we wrap up, does anybody watching live have a question or a comment that they want to say?
I do want to share from my book club the highlights, because I know some of them are watching. Like, actually, you didn't say what about us. No, I think one of the things that I think about the Black Romance Book Club is that we've created like a sisterhood. That's why I say we're so reader focused, is because we're so like, we're friends with each other. You know what I mean? And I think that makes it really special that like we've had meetings that have been 6-7 hours. Like, we get on Zoom. We got on Zoom at 6. I'm on Cali time. They're on East Coast, Texas time, whatever. And it'll be like 1 a.m. for me. And I'm like, all right, y'all, I gotta go. And they're like, it's 4 a.m. Like, that's the type of vibe and community that we have. Like, we just talk so much. And I think one of the cool parts is that like, there's some of us that are really well read, right? We read all the authors we can think of. We're like, oh yeah, I read at least one book by that person. And we have newer people too who are like, okay, what book was that? Because I'm writing it down, And so we're able to kind of relive the experiences of our favorite books with people who are meeting those authors and books for the first time. Like, when we'll be like, oh, Ezra, we love da 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 da. Someone will be like, wait, which Ezra? Ethic Ezra or like Love Belvin Ezra? Like, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where we're able to like just vibe so much together. And I think definitely my favorite parts so far, in addition to like coming together, being in community, and like I said, we meet every other week, so we see each other pretty often. We have a group chat that we literally talk on every single day. Like, every day it's like some topic or something's coming up and we will chat. I know they're chatting right now, So like we connect with each other all the time. I've always loved every single time we've had an author join us in our Zoom. Even Denisha Little, she's been a part of our book club too. Like, it's such a fun experience. Like, if you love reading Black romance, like the Black Romance Book Club gang, like we read it, we love it, we celebrate it, we tell people to do it. Like, it's so much fun to finally find a community of women who are so excited about reading Black romance as much as you are. So it feels like a comfortable, fun, and safe space. So shout out to my gang.
I know that's right. And again, like I said, do you have any questions or anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat? Because I know I said I was going to give them a moment to ask questions.
I noticed Alicia's in the chat, and when Ashley said which Ezra are you talking about, I thought about her, and as soon as she jumped in there talking about both of them.
And then also the opportunities. I think that I definitely experienced opportunities to. I've interviewed people, but it builds that of interview, like because I get nervous. Some of these authors, I'm like, oh my gosh, and then you get to talk to them, and then like, I know for a minute I was a little worried about interviewing Sakira Allen because I was like, I really like her work a lot. So how is this gonna flow? And then when we spoke, it was like, it was so good. It was so, and
He's
she's
so
like
sweet.
so
He's
sweet.
so sweet.
And it's just like you start realizing like these people are not just authors, they're humans and they have likes and this, like they have good days and bad days. And it's like when you support them and they know that it's genuine, it's also really like it's dope because they think of you. Like they think they like, okay, I'm gonna give you this arc, I'm gonna give you this, or I'm gonna donate this book to your giveaway, all that. That comes with relationship and knowing that they're
Yes.
gonna be there for them. Um and lastly, I remember one time, and that's this is for anybody who wants to start a book club or somebody tell you can't do something. When we first started our book club, I remember I was speaking to someone and I was just like, yeah, it's for black women. They're like, why don't you just say women? Because women is more broad, you'll be more marketable, you'll have like traditional publishing companies coming you to give you books and all this other stuff. When you say black women, you're putting yourself in a small box. And I was just like, I remember I waited a day because I'm like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. He's good at marketing and stuff like this. And I was just like, I should probably just put whatever. And then I remember at the last, not the last minute, I remember I was writing an Instagram thing and I was like,